In this episode of Viral Rewind, we're going to look at the Abraxas DOS virus. Now, there's two versions of Abraxas. There's the original Abraxas, which is what we're looking at, and then there's an Abraxas 2, which is kind of an updated variant of the original. Plus, it has another couple of variants as well that we'll look at in future videos. But in this one, we're looking at the original Abraxas virus. Now, this virus is actually made by the Phalcon group, which is actually the author of the Schism DOS virus that we looked at in an earlier episode that was also made by Phalcon. And the Abraxas virus is actually made via what's called the PSMPC, or the Phalcon mass-produced code generator. It was actually used for making several different DOS viruses, one of them being Abraxas. So, we've got several different versions of Abraxas here. We're actually running this off a ZIP 100 disk here on the IBM PS1. I may explain in another video somewhere else how a ZIP 100 drive is being used on this old computer. But anyway, we've got Abraxas 1. Type it correct there. Now, Abraxas is not memory resident. It's actually a direct file infector, so when we run Abraxas, its payload is going to happen immediately, but it will also drop a file, or it will replace a file if it already exists, known as DOSShell.com in the DOS directory. So it will make a copy of itself in that directory there when we run it. So if we run Abraxas, well, actually that's because I didn't spell it right. Abraxas. Oh, come on. Oh, sorry about that. The Abraxas virus would not run on the IBM here because I had done some previous virus testing on it, and the leftovers from that testing was actually interfering with the Abraxas virus from working correctly. So I put a clean copy back on the IBM here, and you'll probably notice now that the text is flickering. Unfortunately, I can't have the 60 Hz nice refresh on here because the Abraxas visual payload will not work with the 60 Hz program running. So we got to run DOS here in its native 70 Hz. So you're going to have to kind of put up with the flickering for the time being. But since we put a clean copy of DOS on here, we can look at what DOS shell will do when, or what will happen to it, I should say, when we run Abraxas. Because we got DOSShell.com there, and we notice it's 22,987. Now, you may recognize the size of DOS shell there, and that's because it's actually the format.com program. I just copied it in place of DOS shell. The regular DOS shell is actually the same as the executable version here. It's just that it's the DOS shell from IBM, but it's for PC-DOS version 5, which is not supported on here because this is PC-DOS version 4. But it shows that it's there. So we're going to go ahead and run Abraxas, and we'll see the visual payload, and we'll see what it has done to DOS shell. So then we switch over to the zip drive again. Let's run Abraxas. So we get this ascending musical scale, and then it repeats that scale again, and we get Abraxas in red font, along with a whole bunch of garbled text. Now, this is probably some kind of infection going on. Again, as we said, it replaces DOSShell.com, or it puts the file there if it doesn't exist. And again, we got Abraxas sitting on our desktop there. Now, of course, we can run Abraxas again and get the whole musical sound again, along with its graphical little payload there. It just displays Abraxas again. So Abraxas is run on the computer. Let's go back to the DOS directory, and now let's look at DOS shell again. And you notice it has now replaced DOSShell.com with a copy of Abraxas, because now it's only 1,170 bytes, which is the size of the variant that we're working with. So if we tried to run DOS shell, we're now just running the Abraxas virus instead of the original DOS shell. So that's pretty much it for the Abraxas DOS virus.